चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्णा हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। We are discussing about who is Krishna from the Bhagavad Gita, continuing on the same verse, the 8th verse of the 4th chapter. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Krishna appears in every yuga, every millennium, for the sake of protecting his devotees, for the sake of annihilating the demons, as well as re-establishing the principles of dharma, religion. The story of Bhaumasura, we are hearing how Bhumi Devi was offering prayers to Krishna because she is a devotee, even though her son was a demon. But Krishna was very kind that he delivered that son of Bhumi Devi, who was the demon, Bhaumasura. Krishna delivered that Bhaumasura, and Bhumi Devi is now offering prayers. So in her prayers she is clearly helping us understand what is the position of Krishna. So she is explaining Krishna's position based on the scriptural descriptions that Krishna is transcendental to all the material modes. He is, even when he comes to this material world, he is transcendental to all material activities. That means whatever activities Krishna performs are all transcendental. They are not within the purview of the material nature. They are not within the three gunas. On the other hand, ordinary people like us, whatever actions we perform, they are always within the three gunas, within the material nature. So there is always some reaction. The exception is when we do some devotional service, like when we chant Hare Krishna. Chanting of Hare Krishna is not under the three gunas. Or when we worship Krishna, when we visit a temple of Krishna, when we offer a flower to Krishna, all these activities, devotional activities, they are completely transcendental also. So Krishna's activities are always transcendental, and therefore they are specially recorded in the Itihasas and Puranas, and they are described by all devotees, great devotees. Just like Shukadeva Goswami is speaking to Parikshit Maharaj. Parikshit Maharaj is sitting and hearing from Shukadeva Goswami the pastimes of Krishna, the pastimes of the incarnations of Krishna, the pastimes of the devotees of Krishna. Bhagavatam is all about Krishna, Bhagavan Krishna, and the devotees, the Bhagavatas, their activities, their descriptions of their relationships, descriptions of their aspirations, descriptions of their life itself is nothing but activity of transcendental nature. So Krishna is completely transcendental. His pure devotees are also fully transcendental. So Bhumi Devi is telling, my dear Lord, O Supreme Personality of Godhead, I know that the earth, water, fire, air, sky, the 5 sense objects, the mind, the senses and their deities, ego and the total material energy, everything animate and inanimate in this phenomenal world rests upon you. The material energy rests upon Krishna because it is Krishna's own energy. Now the material energy differentiates into all these elements. The Panchabhuta, the earth, water, fire, air, sky. Then the Pancha Indriya Artha. Or we say 5 sense objects. That means all kinds of forms, form, smell, taste and sound and touch, everything that is also differentiated from the material energy at the beginning of creation. Then the mind is also one of the elements of material energy. Then the senses, there are 10 senses. So the 5 knowledge acquiring senses, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the tongue and the skin or the sense of touch. Then there are the 5 working senses like the hands, legs, the voice, etc. Then there are deities controlling these senses and the mind and the intelligence. There are deities controlling this, devatas. All of them are resting upon Krishna. Since everything is produced of you, nothing can be separate from you. Yet, since you are transcendentally situated, nothing material can be identified with your personality. This is a very important philosophical point to understand about Krishna. Krishna, the person, is completely transcendental personality, spiritual person. He has his energies, of which this material energy is also one of his energies. Everything material is within the material energy only. That material energy rests upon Krishna, but Krishna is aloof. Krishna is not coming in contact with this material energy. When he comes to this world, he doesn't come in contact with material nature. He remains aloof. Therefore, even though nothing is separate from Krishna, nothing material can be identified with Krishna's personality. Just like we have this body is made up of Panchabhuta. What body we have? It's a material body. It is made up of Panchabhuta, earth, water, fire, air, sky. But Krishna's form is transcendental. Krishna's form is completely Satchidananda Vigraha. Krishna's form is completely of the spiritual quality, transcendental nature. Therefore, nothing material can be identified with his personality. Everything is therefore simultaneously one with you and different from you. Krishna and his energies are one and different. One in the sense that the energy cannot be separated from the energetic. The material energy cannot be separated from Krishna because it is completely controlled by Krishna, it is possessed by Krishna, it is always with Krishna. It cannot be separated from Krishna. But at the same time, everything is different from Krishna because he has his individual personality, his independent personality. He is separate from the energy also. So therefore, the philosophers who try to separate everything from you are certainly mistaken in their viewpoint. Sometimes, some philosophers, they consider Krishna as an ordinary person because they see that he has come to this world and he is acting like an ordinary human being. So they think Krishna is an ordinary person. They are also mistaken. Similarly, those who think Krishna is completely separate from everything in this world, then they try to give some different meaning to whatever activities Krishna performs without understanding that even if Krishna appears to be like performing ordinary activities, they are not ordinary, they are completely transcendental. So the transcendental quality of his activities cannot be understood by anyone except devotees. Other than devotees, nobody can understand. So Bhumi Devi is telling, certainly those philosophers who try to separate everything from Krishna, they are mistaken in their viewpoint. Finally, she is telling, my dear Lord, may I inform you that this boy whose name is Bhagadatta is the son of my son Bhaumasura. That means she has brought her grandson because her son has been delivered by Krishna, killed by Krishna. So this boy now has lost his father. He has been very much affected by the ghastly situation created by the death of his father. And he has become very much confused and afraid. I have therefore brought him to surrender unto your lotus feet. Because Bhumi Devi is the grandmother and she is a devotee. So she is directing this grandson, this boy, you should surrender to Krishna's lotus feet. And she is requesting Krishna, I request your Lordship to give shelter to this boy and bless him with your lotus feet. I bring him to you so that he may be relieved of the reactions of the sinful activities of his father. So when Lord Krishna heard the prayers of Mother Earth, he immediately assured her of immunity from all fearful situations. Krishna said to Bhagadatta, don't be afraid. So he gave him assurance and he made him fearless. Krishna blessed this boy, this grandson of Bhumi Devi. So this is the advantage of being connected with another devotee. By being connected with a devotee, especially being connected with a pure devotee, one can very easily get access to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can get the blessings of Krishna very easily, even without any much qualification. Normally, the big devatas, Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Chandra, Varuna, Vayu, all of them, they cannot even approach Krishna. In spite of being in a very exalted position in this world, having undertaken big responsibility as devatas, as administrators of this entire universe, being empowered by Krishna to rule this entire universe, still these devatas, when they have any difficulty, if they have to approach Vishnu, they have to go to Shvetadvipa and wait on the shore. They cannot enter Shvetadvipa. They have to, Shvetadvipa is the abode of the maintainer Vishnu in this material universe. So they can't even see him. They can't go inside his palace. They can't even enter that island, Shvetadvipa. They have to stay on the other shore of the Milk Ocean and they have to offer prayers. And the Lord will communicate through Brahma. They have to go with Brahma and they all offer prayers. And then through Brahma, the Supreme Lord will communicate whenever He is pleased. So it's not easy to approach the Supreme Lord. Whereas you see this boy, Bhagadatta, his father is a demon. So he doesn't have much hope. As the son of a demon, he doesn't have much hope of approaching the Supreme Lord. He doesn't have hope of getting any benedictions or any blessings from the Supreme Lord. But because his grandmother, Bhumi Devi, she is pure devotee of Krishna. So through her, he is able to very easily approach Krishna. He is able to get the blessings of Krishna. He has become now blessed by Krishna. He has become fearless. Abhaya, Krishna has given him fearlessness awarded him fearlessness. So this is the advantage. Just like Hiranyakashipu, he was a very, very big demon. So he was destined to go to hell, actually, by all his atrocious activities. But he was saved in two ways. One is that the Supreme Lord himself came to stop these atrocities of Hiranyakashipu, and in the form of Lord Narasimha, he killed this Hiranyakashipu. So being killed by the Supreme Lord, this Hiranyakashipu was purified, was liberated. But more importantly, Prahlad, when he was offered he was offered by Lord Narasimha that you can ask any benediction. So Prahlad asked Narasimha that you kindly excuse my father for all the sinful activities he has done. Such a nice son, you see. In spite of being tortured by the father, he never took that very seriously. He, in fact, ignored all that, and he was just praying to the Lord, kindly excuse my father. And then Lord Narasimha was very pleased with this attitude of Prahlad, and he said, by your own devotional service, 21 generations are delivered. Not just your father, but your father, his father's father, everyone, 21 generations are delivered. You see? So this is the blessing of the Supreme Lord upon his devotees. So if one member of the family becomes a devotee, the greatest service to the entire family and to 21 generations before, they are all delivered. So it is very important that even one member in the family becomes a devotee. Even one member of the family, that's enough. So because this Mother Earth is pure devotee, so because of her, her son who was a demon was delivered by Krishna. Her grandson is blessed by Krishna. So all these relatives are completely blessed, and they are all fortunate to take birth in such a family in which a devotee is appeared is itself a great, great benediction. Then after this, Krishna entered the palace of Bhaumasura. That Bhaumasura's palace was equipped with so much opulences. First of all, Krishna saw in the palace 16,100 young princesses who had been kidnapped and held captive in that palace. When the princesses saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna enter the palace, they immediately became captivated by the beauty of the Lord, and they all prayed to the Lord for His causeless mercy. Within their minds, they decided to accept Krishna as their husband without any hesitation. They had each prayed to Providence that Krishna might become their husband. Sincerely and seriously, they offered their hearts to the lotus feet of Krishna with a pure devotional attitude. Now, the position of these princesses, we should understand, in the Vedic culture, if a girl before her marriage is kidnapped by somebody, then nobody else will marry her. She's been touched by another man, a particular man, then nobody else will touch her. Nobody else will accept her. Nobody else will marry her. Nobody else will give her shelter like that as a husband. So, this being the Vedic culture, the status of Vedic culture, so who would accept these princesses when they had been kidnapped by this Bhaumasura? Nobody would accept. But Krishna is very kind. Krishna knows their position. And since they were in this awkward situation, they prayed to the Supreme Lord. He is the only refuge for such helpless persons in this world. Actually, he is the only refuge for everyone in this world, because everyone is helpless. Under the clutches of this material nature, we are all totally helpless, because life after life, without Krishna consciousness, without devotional service, we are simply wandering. We are doing what is called as Brahmanda Brahmana, wandering in this universe from one body to another, from one life to another, committing so many, performing so many activities. Some of them may be pious, some of them may be sinful, whatever. But either pious or sinful, they all have reactions. So we have to experience those reactions in future lives, and we have to keep taking repeated birth. There is no hope for becoming free from this material bondage ordinarily. So in that sense, we are all helpless. But if we take to Krishna consciousness, and that is possible only by the blessings of the Supreme Lord or His pure devotees. The pure devotee blesses people who agree to begin devotional service even. Just like Prabhupada, he preached all over the world, and he continues to preach through his institution, through his books, through his representatives, through his disciples, through his followers. Through this institution, he is continuing to preach. So Prabhupada is requesting, please chant Hare Krishna and begin devotional service. So if anyone begins devotional service by chanting Hare Krishna and accepts Prabhupada as their guide, as their leader, as their spiritual guide, then they can very easily get deliverance from this material existence. And if one member of the family is delivered in that way, 21 generations are delivered. 21 generations are delivered. So, Krishna is very, very kind, especially to somebody who surrenders. Krishna immediately gives complete shelter. So it is said, as super soul in everyone's heart, Krishna could understand their uncontaminated desire of the 16,100 princesses, and he agreed to accept them as his wives. See their good fortune? Even though their bad fortune was they were kidnapped and held captive by this demon, and they were in such a troublesome situation, but they were saved by Krishna, because Krishna came to actually on the complaint given by Indra. Indra's mother's earrings had been stolen, and Indra's playground had been occupied by this demon, and Indra was helpless. So Indra went to Krishna in Dwaraka and requested and prayed to Krishna, kindly do something, this demon is creating so much of disturbance. So Krishna decided to rectify the situation. So he delivered this demon, and then the consequence of delivering this demon is that so many people are benefited. Krishna's one action benefits so many. Krishna agreed to accept these 16,100 princesses as his wives. Thus he arranged for suitable garments, ornaments for each of them. Seated on the palanquin, he dispatched them to Dwaraka city, his personal capital. Krishna also collected unlimited wealth from the palace, a treasure of chariots, horses, jewels, and so on. He took from the palace 50 white elephants, each with 4 tusks, and all of them were dispatched to Dwaraka. This demon, Bhaumasura, had amassed all this wealth. So, Krishna actually all wealth belongs to Krishna only. In this pastime, it appears like he has conquered this particular city and now he is taking all the wealth that belongs to the city. Actually, it is his own wealth. Every wealth belongs to Krishna only. Aishwaryasya samagrasya. Samagra, that sum totality of all wealth belongs to Krishna. He is a supreme Lord. He is a supreme owner, supreme possessor of everything. But in this pastime, he is just demonstrating a leela. So he is taking all this wealth. He is collecting it after having conquered this city. After this incident, Lord Krishna and Satyabhama entered Amravati, the capital city of the heavenly planets. Because Krishna had retrieved Aditi's earrings. So he wanted to return. So as they entered the palace of King Indra and his wife Shachi Devi welcomed Krishna and Satyabhama. Krishna then presented Indra with the earrings of Aditi. Now when Krishna and Satyabhama were returning from the capital city of Indra, Satyabhama remembered Krishna's promise to give her a Parijata tree. Taking this opportunity of having come to the heavenly kingdom, she uprooted a Parijata tree and placed it on the back of Garuda. Now the background for this, how is it that Satyabhama got a promise from Krishna that Krishna will give her a Parijata tree? It is because formerly Narada had taken a Parijata flower from the heavenly planet and given it and presented it to Krishna's senior wife, Rukmini Devi. On account of this, Satyabhama had developed an inferiority complex. She also wanted a flower from Krishna, the same Parijata flower. This Parijata flower, it grows only in heavenly planets. So, it has got an exquisite fragrance. So, when Rukmini was presented this flower, then Satyabhama developed an inferiority complex because she also wanted that flower from Krishna. Krishna could understand this competitive womanly nature of his co-wives and he smiled and he asked Satyabhama, why are you asking for only one flower? I will give you a whole tree of Parijata flowers. So, Krishna had made this promise to Satyabhama when Satyabhama asked for a flower. So, Krishna remembered that and that's why purposely he had taken his wife to retrieve that Aditi's earring from Bhaumasura, and when he thought he will go to return these Aditi's earrings to heavenly planet, Indra's planet, and then he thought he will actually collect that Parijata tree from the heavenly planet. So it is said, Krishna had purposely taken his wife Satyabhama with him so that she could collect the Parijata with her own hand. But the denizens of heavenly planets, including Indra, were very irritated. They thought this Parijata grows only in heavenly planets. How can it be taken to the earth? They thought without their permission, Satyabhama had uprooted a Parijata tree which is not to be found on the earth planet. So Indra, along with other demigods, offered opposition to Krishna and Satyabhama for taking away the tree. But in order to please his wife, Satyabhama, Krishna became determined and adamant that he is going to take that tree anyway. So there was a fight between the demigods and Krishna. As usual, Krishna came out victorious and he triumphantly brought the Parijata tree chosen by his wife to this earth planet to Dwaraka. After this, the tree was installed in the palace garden of Satyabhama. On account of this extraordinary tree, the garden house of Satyabhama became extraordinarily beautiful. As the Parijata tree came down to earthly planet, the fragrance of its flowers also came down, and the celestial drones migrated to this earth in search of their fragrance and honey. Now, Indra's behavior towards Krishna was not very much appreciated by great sages like Shukadeva Goswami. Out of his causeless mercy, Krishna had gone to heavenly kingdom to present Indra with his mother's earrings, which had been lost to Bhaumasura. And Indra had actually complained. So Indra was very glad to receive them back. But when one Parijata tree was taken by Krishna, Indra had to fight with him. So this was selfishness of Indra. When he received that earrings of Mother Aditi, he had bowed down his head to the lotus feet of Krishna and he had offered nice prayers to Krishna. But as soon as his purpose was served, he became a different creature. Now this is the way of materialistic people. They're always interested in their own profit. They can offer any respect to anybody for getting some favor for themselves. But after that, they're no longer friends, they're no longer interested in the other people. This selfish nature is found not only among richer class of men in this planet, but even among the demigods. Like Indra, they also have this selfishness. So Shukadeva Goswami says, too much wealth makes a man very selfish. A selfish man is not prepared to take to Krishna consciousness and therefore is condemned by great devotees like Shukadeva Goswami. In other words, possession of too much worldly riches is a disqualification for advancement in Krishna consciousness. So after this, defeating Indra, Krishna arranged to marry the 16,100 princesses brought from the custody of Bhaumasura. He expanded himself into 16,100 different forms. He simultaneously married them in different palaces at the same auspicious moment. So this is Krishna's opulence, Krishna's mystic power. Krishna is called Yogeshwara. In the Bhagavad Gita it is described, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna. Krishna is Yogeshwara, the master of all mystic powers. He has unlimited mystic powers. So by his mystic power, by the mystic power of a yogi can expand into maximum 10 forms. But Krishna can expand into unlimited number of forms. And each form can perform different activities. It's not that all forms have to do the same activity. If a yogi expands, let's say yogi expands into 10 forms. In one form, if he lifts his hand, all the 10 forms, the hand will be lifted. Whereas when Krishna expands, each form acts independently. It is not the same actions in all the forms. No. So Krishna expanded himself into 16,100 forms and he married each of them in different palace at the same auspicious moment. He thus established the truth that Krishna alone is the Supreme Personality of Godhead and no one else can match his power, his potency. He is all powerful, he is omnipresent, he is imperishable. There is nothing wonderful in this pastime. Because in the spiritual world, Krishna reciprocates with each devotee personally, individually, all the time. So what is amazing about this? 16,100 forms is nothing amazing. And it is described in the Srimad-Bhagavatam that all the queens of Krishna actually were expansions of the goddesses of fortune, Lakshmi ji. So they were not ordinary women. They lived with him in different palaces and they actually served Krishna with their heart and soul. They were all devoted to Krishna completely. Even though in each palace there were millions of maidservants. Millions of maidservants. Still, they personally served Krishna as a maidservant themselves. They personally received Krishna when he came back from the assembly house, Sudharma, in the evening, and they would personally wash his feet. They would personally offer him some drink, and they would cook for him. They would serve him prasadam, and then they used to receive him nicely. They would offer him nice betel nuts. They would massage his legs. They would fan him. They would offer him essential fragrant oils. They would offer him flower garlands. They would dress his hair. They would personally feed him. Every single thing they would personally do. Never allow any maid servant to do anything. No. So this was their devotion to Krishna. So this is the description in the Bhagavatam. There is no exaggeration in the statement. We should not disbelieve this. So I'll take some questions now. Before the advent of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Sankirtan movement, what was the method of self-realization and attainment of Krishna Bhakti? The method is always the same. The method of Krishna Bhakti is 9 different methods: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has not introduced something new. It is just that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has actually preached extensively and exclusively about chanting and hearing the holy name of the Supreme Lord as the easiest method of self-realization, especially in this Kali Yuga, because we are having disqualification in so many ways. Otherwise, formerly also, there were devotees. Always there have been devotees in this world. Always there has been the process of bhakti, though it was not widely practiced as much as it is being practiced now after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advented and preached, and his followers are continuing to preach all over the world. So it has become very, very popular and widely accepted now, but it has always been there. It is not new. Chanting the holy names of the Supreme Lord is not new. The process of bhakti is not new. The practice of bhakti is not new. Should the horoscope of the bride and groom be checked before marriage, and how should it be checked? This is one question by somebody. So, according to the Vedic system, now Prabhupada explains this in one purport in the Srimad-Bhagavatam, 9th canto, 18th chapter, 23rd verse purport. Prabhupada explains, according to the Vedic system, the parents would consider the horoscopes of the boy and girl who were to be married. Why? Because if according to astrological calculations, the boy and girl were compatible in every respect, the match was called Yotaka and the marriage would be accepted. Even 50 years ago, this system was current in Hindu society. Regardless of the affluence of the boy or the personal beauty of the girl, without this astrological compatibility, the marriage would not take place. Now hear this carefully. A person is born in one of 3 categories known as Devagana, Manushya Gana and Rakshasa Gana. In different parts of the universe, there are demigods and demons. And in human society also, some people resemble demigods whereas others resemble demons. If according to astrological calculations, there was a conflict between a godly and a demoniac nature, the marriage would not take place. Similarly, there were calculations of Pratiloma and Anuloma. The central idea is, if the boy and girl were on equal level, the marriage would be happy, whereas inequality would lead to unhappiness. Because care is no longer taken in marriage, we now find so many divorces. Indeed, divorce has become a common affair, although formerly, one's marriage would continue lifelong, and the affection between husband and wife was so great that the wife would voluntarily die when her husband died, or would remain a faithful widow throughout her entire life. Now, of course, this is no longer possible, for human society has fallen to the level of animal society. Marriage now takes place simply by agreement. Dampatye abhiruchir hetuhu. Bhagavatam says this, 12.2.3. The word abhiruchi means agreement. If the boy and girl simply agree to marry, the marriage takes place. But when the Vedic system is not rigidly observed, marriage frequently ends in divorce. So this is the reply based on Srila Prabhupada's explanation in the Bhagavatam. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.